My name is Zachary Bush. The date is June 19th, 2023, and this is my name, student ID, and course ID. Jumping into it, I want to say that this particular experiment was not difficult in regards to accomplishing it, but the equipment was very frustrating to use. The test tube racks are very large in comparison to the vials, and it happened multiple times that as I was moving the vials into the incubation area, um, a vial would slip and I would try and catch it. And if I tried to catch one, another one would fall because I just jerked the test tube rack, and it just became a really frustrating mess. And I had multiple vials clatter onto a countertop or onto the ground multiple times, and that was a scary experience because I know that if one of those broke, it would mess up a lot of the results of the experiment. But other than that, things went pretty well. So, jumping into it. So, yeast, in regards to salt tolerance, performed very well. It can handle for 1% and 7%. There was a very, very obvious amount of turbidity in there. It's hard to see due to the fact that the lighting in this room isn't very good. If I turn the light off, that doesn't really help at all. Um, but in person, it's very obvious that there is a good amount of turbidity. For 15% salt concentration, there's a very slight turbidity, not a lot, but slight. So it was able to deal with a very, very high level of salt concentration. For context, seawater has 3.5% salt concentration. So 15%, even 7% is extremely salty. So the fact that yeast was able to survive in these conditions is very impressive. SE, it was able to survive at 1 and 7%. 15%, however, is where the bacteria drew the line. It was not able to deal. Um, Here is the 1 and 7% vials. Again, the uh, the light isn't great, so it won't show the turbidity. My monitor's over here, so I can see what the camera's seeing, and I'm trying to, I don't know, I'm hoping that in some way I can get some form of turbidity to show up on the screen, but I don't think I can. So there's a little bit of turbidity in the 1 to 7%. Here's my, I guess there is a difference you can see, just nothing, there's a bit of a difference. Here's the 15%, and it is most certainly different. There's no turbidity in here, and this is where the microbe was unable to cope with the high level of salt concentration. Now, because it wasn't able to deal with the high level of salt concentration, um, you can learn quite a bit from this. You can learn about a whether a particular microbe is a halophile, whether it's halotolerant. Um, as I looked at the results that I got, I found that yeast is a halotolerant microbe, and SE is a halophile, which did not quite line up with my result. I suppose it did, um, in a way, line up with the results due to the fact that I had in my 7% salt concentration vial there was turbidity, which allows for a which allows for that concentration to be considered a high concentration of salt for growth. So it would fall into the category of a halophile, but yeah. Overall, I think that part of the experiment went well. I didn't have too many issues. And moving on to pH testing. So the yeast right here. Oh, almost dropped one. Clumsy, clumsy. Um, as you mostly may not, see is there is turbidity in all three vials. So there's turbidity in the pH of uh, 5, 9, and 7, which is very good. This this range of pH, it falls mostly into the neutrophile range. You have a um, acidophile, neutrophile, and alkaphile. Um, these three different categories are dictated by what what pH range they typically grow and flourish in. Um, so, given that the yeast grew um, more in the range of a neutrophile, I classified yeast as a neutrophile. Now, SE, on the other hand, there is basically zero growth in the 5, 7, or 9, which um, it leaves room open for it to be categorized as a alkaphile, given that um, an alkaphile could start at a pH range of 8, which the highest pH we had here was a 9 right here, but there's no growth in here, which would lead me to believe that it is a acidophile. And according to results that I looked up to kind of confirm or I guess deny the results of my experiment, um, I saw that it more grows in ranges of 5 to, I believe, 7. So that right there is rather confusing, given that I had both 5 and 7 pH level vials, and I don't understand why I didn't get growth there. It I'm not sure why that would occur, but clearly I got the wrong uh, test results from this particular experiment. But the real world application for these experiments, very, very good in regards to understanding where microbes can grow, what conditions they can grow under, um, almost in a way when people who study birds classify where birds can uh, originate from, be based on the environment that they flourish in and based on the environment um, that they live in. You can classify where they have a possibility of living. You can do the same thing with these microbes based on what environment they require to survive and what environment they require to thrive. So, in that way, both of these tests are very, very important. It's good for identifying microbes, just like many of these other ones, many of the other previous tests that I've done. And in that way, it's very important in a clinical setting because if you can identify a microbe, you're one step closer to helping your patient. So, thank you and have a great day.